Digital visibility plays a key role in promoting your business. In this video, I talk with mindset coach Danny Evergreen and brand designer Laura Robinson about digital visibility. We share what we've learned about growing our own visibility online, and we'll share some great tips on how you can improve your own visibility this year. I'm Laura Bean, and this is Creative Little World.
Online presence is a big thing, a scary thing. A lot of us businesses obviously have a great idea, want to start a business, but actually being visible in that business is so important. Do we agree, ladies?
Oh yeah, yes, definitely. For getting clients, for getting your name out there, online visibility is, and it's so crowded as well, isn't it? So it's getting above the rest of the noise and your competitors.
Because you can be great in your business and you can be the best in your business, but if you are not visible, the people that are worse than you are going to be getting the clients, are going to be getting those high ticket clients and bringing in the business, and you're just going to falter. And as we know, a lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses fail really early on. I think visibility is one of the first things you've got to get right and first things you've got to really get your head around. So what platforms are you both using? What have you found worked for you as a business? Where have you found a lot of clients and a community?
So I have a website. I have most social media channels. The ones I'm particularly active on that I find work best for me as a copywriter are LinkedIn. I find that as a business channel, that's quite a good one for me to be on there. We've got a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, people that are looking for help with their content and copywriting. So being quite visible on there, for me, I feel is really important. And I have a YouTube channel for my freelancing support network, Creative Little World, because that's where a lot of people like ourselves go to seek information and help. So I find video content from YouTube is particularly helpful. And then I support that with Instagram. And those are the main ones that I use for me. What about you, Danny?
Yeah, Facebook for me is probably where I use a lot in terms of individual kind of clients. Just I think because it's something I've used for a long time and I've built up a big network there. So a lot of my clients have come through referrals, and I think it's a nice way to give back and support people that I know, not necessarily just in a way of getting clients, but also to maintain your existing network. And then LinkedIn, similar to you, Laura, in terms of meeting other professionals, and especially for things like collaborations. There's a lot of other coaches and other professionals on there, small businesses I can work with. So those are the kind of two that I focus on. YouTube is in my kind of field of vision. I use it a little bit, but that's one that I definitely want to work with more this year.
Yeah, LinkedIn's on my hit list to get into a bit more and to kind of collaborate a bit more with. So what type of content are you finding to helping? Obviously collaboration, because us three are all here, all three entrepreneurs, finding our way through the business world. I find that that's really useful, because then you're getting in front of other people's audiences. Also it makes it a little bit less lonely as an entrepreneur. But what type of content are you finding resonating in your industry at the moment?
So I've recently noticed, so I've written a few LinkedIn articles, and it's attached to the LinkedIn newsletter. So I have a fair amount of subscribers on that, and then I write the article and it automatically emails people about it as well. And recently I found that so one of them in particular has a lead magnet, which is to download some email templates, and that article is the only place that lead magnet is currently in. And I'm noticing I'm getting quite a lot of subscribers through that lead magnet recently, even though that article is probably about 6 months old. So it's just showing I did that 6 months ago, put it out there, didn't think much more of it after that, and it's still working for me and bringing in traffic and building my mailing list. So I have decided that LinkedIn articles is going to be a bit of an upshot for me this year, because I think it's getting that organic stuff out there that is working for you while you've moved on and you're doing your next thing, but it's still out there and working hard for you. And I think that is the key with digital visibility.
And what about you, Danny? What are you putting out there? Because obviously Evergreen is brilliant. You know, it's your name, so that's helpful. Evergreen content, but what kind of content are you finding works really well on Facebook for you at the moment?
Yeah, I think video, like short form video content that people can quickly interact with, seems to be working quite well. People like to see you, they like to, know a bit about you. And I think particularly, as a coach, if you can put out content that is useful to people, then that's always beneficial. I like a bit of both. Like for me, YouTube is amazing, but I have quite a short attention span. So I don't always want to spend a lot of time watching things. So I think the short term video, and then like I quite like to read. So I think like the LinkedIn articles, like Laura's mentioning, are really useful, the odd blog post. So I try to do a mix and match of kind of written content with video, so that then depending on how people like to take in information, there's kind of the option for everyone. Because otherwise, yeah, if you're someone who like it always watches looks at their phone and videos when they're on their phone, and maybe somewhere they can't have the volume up, then, have you got captions on your videos? All those little things, because I know from my point of view, I rarely have volume up on my phone. So if I'm watching on my phone, unless it's something I think, oh, this is really interesting, then I might put the volume up. So it's getting those things out there that can get the attention quickly, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right with the multiple ways that we consume information as well. And that's one of my processes. I do a YouTube video, I turn that into a blog. So you've got the video at the top, like you say, and then the writing, and then it kind of feeds into who, I'm a bit like you, Danny. I'm more of a reader than a watcher, oddly enough, even though I make the videos myself, because I know the audience that I try to reach do consume videos. So that works for them. But for me, I'm like, I'd rather sort of read or have a skim read. And so because we all consume differently, it's quite good to have a few different medias and a different way of doing it.
Really read blogs?
No,
I can't tell you. I see blogs more as SEO for my website. I don't really sit and read a blog very often. There's never anything that I think, oh, I need to go and find out more about that. I am a visual person, so like I will have, like if I'm doing the ironing, I'll stick on like a long piece of content and sit and watch YouTube and kind of learn while I'm doing something a bit monotonous like cooking or something. But yeah, I can't tell you the last time I read a blog.
I think that's a really key point, isn't it? That awareness, because it's very easy to do what feels natural to you, and you tend to pick the stuff that you enjoy. So if you consume things in a certain way, you tend to go naturally think, oh, well, I'll put that out there. And one of the things that I do in terms of coaching and NLP is help people to understand what their preferences are for, taking information. So if you are a very visual person, it's natural that you might do things that are more visual, which if you're a brand designer, and that makes sense, right? Whereas someone who likes to, talk a lot and take things in through listening, probably more likely to do something like a podcast. And all of those things are fine. But also if you're aware of that, then you can go, well, hang on a minute, this is what I prefer. But what about the people that don't prefer that? So how can I put something out that suits them? Because then you open up your audience more. And just things like with the copywriting, being aware of that in your website and all those things. I'm sure that's something that you think about, Laura, as well.
Yeah, and I say this to my clients as well. It's, who are the audience we're reaching? And it's one of the key messages I try to get across, is that you need to, as you've just said, write your content, film your content, whatever you're doing with your content, it needs to appeal to the target audience and not just you, because it's very easy. And you see that a lot with people's websites. If I'm brought in to write someone's website, for example, you can see that they've written about themselves and then they're showing that they like and that they understand, but they themselves are not their target audience. So, my job is to come in and make sure that we change that tone to suit who they're trying to appeal to. Yes. And as you said, I think that's so important across all your content.
Such a huge battle with your clients, isn't it? To get them to realize that actually, because I have to look at actually what they're selling. So say it's a milkman, I'm like, you're not selling milk, you're selling the convenience of it being there when they wake up in the morning. And it takes so long for a client to actually realize what they're physically saying. And he was so adamant that he wanted to do YouTube and he wanted to do this. And I've heard, listen to Gary V and he's telling us YouTube shorts. And I'm like, but you're a milkman. It's like, you need to realize that that's not where your clients are going to be looking. You need to get into the local community more. And yeah, it's trying to make sure that your visibility actually meets your clients where they're looking. You know, you need to be stopping them in the tracks. And just because maybe your competitors are all doing it doesn't actually mean that that's the right place. It's finding that sweet spot. Yeah, and like what you were saying about being, you know, what you like is not the same preference as what your client and your audience likes. So LinkedIn, I'm coming for you.
Yeah. And I hear that a lot. A lot of people don't like LinkedIn. I mean, well, I'm not even a year into my YouTube channel, and you know, this time last year, I wasn't doing video, and I didn't like video, and I couldn't stand myself being on camera. And I had to kind of push myself to take that step, because I was like, it's going to help the business, and it's what my audience, you know, are looking for and asking for. So obviously now it's a lot more easy and I enjoy it, thankfully. But yeah, it's taking that step, isn't it? You sometimes have to put yourself out of what's comfortable for you if you want to get in front of the right people.
So you've changed your mindset then, Danny. Is that what Laura's done really? She's changed her mindset on being visible and changed how she wants to be. Is there any tips on kind of working on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of reasons that I think we avoid being visible. And like videos is a classic one that a lot of people have fear around, you know, putting themselves on video. And I think it's often because as you're recording a video, you're looking at yourself and you're going, oh, well, I don't like this and I don't like that. And what if I say every 2 seconds? But in reality, people are not watching the video, seeing what you're seeing, because they're looking for the information that you're sharing, not to pick you apart. So it's like, I think what Laura was saying, you know, she realized that in order to achieve the goal she wanted to achieve, she had to do something different. Therefore, she had to get out of her comfort zone and grow a little bit in order to achieve that. And that is uncomfortable. It is difficult, but it's that thing. So sometimes it's being aware of, well, what is this going to potentially give me? So you know why you're doing it, because if you know why you're doing it, then you're more motivated to actually do it, and then be consistent with it for a while. And just remember that it's a learning process. You know, if you try something for a while and it doesn't work, or you really hate it, then you can try something else. But if you never let yourself try, you're never going to get good at it. You know, we so often go, oh, I'm not confident enough to do whatever it is. I'm not confident enough to be on video. But the way that you get more confident is by doing it and learning and figuring it out. Like, I know I've heard you say, Laura, before about, you know, your first YouTube video compared to now, and that, you know, they're a lot more polished now, you feel a lot more confident, but that's happened because of your consistency in doing them, and that you've learned through that process. So I think it is that just giving it a go, and allowing yourself the opportunity to figure it out and find out if actually, like Laura has done, she actually enjoys it, you know?
Yeah. And there's adaptations, isn't there? Because if you're still not comfortable with your face on video, there are different ways to do it. Like, you know, especially with reels and shorts, you know, you can do nice like views of landscapes with some text and stuff over, or voiceover. It doesn't have to be, you know, your face on it necessarily if you can't get comfortable with that. So it's finding perhaps an adaptation as well that gets you out in front of your audience, but something you're still happy doing, because you've got to keep it up and you're the one doing it at the end of the day.
So have either of you ever had any kind of negative like pushback on anything? I've had a few like family members go, oh, I've seen you on it again, and oh God, you know, it's like that's your telephone voice, and it's like, you know, you get comments, don't you, of everyone. And yes, okay, your family is going to be the first people that are going to see it. But have you actually received any like negative comments from like strangers or from clients or anything when you've been visible?
Do you know what? I can't actually pinpoint a time that's actually happened. Like you say, you get a lot of people that know you on a personal level. They're like, oh, you know, they think it's funny that you're like on video. Yeah, you know, they kind of make it the odd joke. And I think a lot of them don't really understand it, you know, get, what do you do? What do you actually do? Because they don't, you know, they aren't my target audience. They know me because they're friends or family. They're not the target audience. And so sometimes that is it's a little bit cringy, and I've had to kind of go, right, just not ignore them, but you know what I mean? Like, pretend that, you know, you're not talking to them. Yes, they may see it. It doesn't matter. Like, focus on who you're talking to. I haven't had, touch wood, I haven't had a lot of negative feedback. I've had like the odd comment that didn't, you know, I had one that was probably not appropriate. It didn't really make sense to the video either. So if I'm honest, I just deleted it, because I was like, it wasn't there for any constructive purpose. It wasn't really relating to the business or me. It felt like they just randomly made a bit of a rude comment. So I just removed it, because I thought, well, it's not actually serving a purpose other than making me feel uncomfortable. So it's my stuff, and I'm going to take it off. That's how I looked at it.
Fair play, why not? You know what? If
it's constructive, then I have no problem if someone wants to say. But this was someone that made it was one of my swim videos, and they made basically a religious comment on the fact that although you couldn't see a lot, I was clearly in a swimsuit, and I just thought, well, it's not really about this, so I'm just gonna delete the comment.
Bless you. But I think you've got to kind of get over yourself a little bit. At the end of the day, you're here to make money. You're here to run a business. And that's been a real mindset shift for me, was that, yeah, okay, because I was more worried about other people in my industry seeing me, especially like, it sounds daft, but people from university, like I haven't seen them for 20 odd years, but I was getting like, oh my God, they're going to see this and they're going to think I'm rubbish. Who cares? I need to make money. I'm here to live my life. And I had to really work to get over that mindset shift. So is there any tips, Danny, that you can give us that are quick, kind of before you're about to press play, what can we do to kind of make sure that we are focused on, achieving this goal of being visible and not hiding away and disappointing ourselves? Because that's how I feel sometimes.
Yeah, and it's so easy, isn't it, to worry about judgment of other people, or that comparison thing that is, social media is brilliant from comparing yourself to other people. I think goes back to what we were saying earlier, be clear about why you're doing it. Like you just said, you're here to make money, you've got a business to run. So what's more important to you? Is it more important what those people think about you, or actually getting your business going and making the progress you want to make? How, what about all the people that are going to see it and actually benefit from it? So rather than worrying about the people that might see it and might judge you or not like it, what about all those people that are going to see it and actually get something from it? And I think that helps me a lot, because sometimes I've, especially in the past, had this belief of like, oh, well, like, who wants to see videos of me? Who wants to see my face all the time? But it's not about that. It's the fact that actually, if I'm sharing something that's useful, even if one person sees that and it helps them, it's worth it. That's what I care about. So if I remind myself of that, that gives me the motivation and the confidence to do it, rather than getting caught up in the what about all the other people. And at the end of the day, you cannot control what other people think about you. Whatever you do, people will always have an opinion, whether it's good or bad. So you might get supportive comments, you might get negative comments, you might get absolutely nothing. But actually, if your intention is good and you're being authentic to yourself, then really, does it matter? I think it is just reminding yourself of those things and doing something to help you feel confident before you're about to do your videos or whatever it is. So maybe play some, energetic music, or have a little dance, or, whatever it is for you, or take some nice calming breaths. Do something that puts you in a positive state, so that when you do that, you feel good about yourself, or wear something you like, whatever it is that works for you, to give yourself that little bit of a boost.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's it, isn't it? It's people make comments either way, or they have an opinion either way. And I've had some complimentary comments, which obviously when they come in, I'm like, oh, thanks, but really they're also ones, they're not, it's nice when people say nice things, but when it's perhaps a personal comment about your appearance or something like that, it's hard not to feel a little bit like, oh, I'm not here for you to look at me in that way. I'm here like, hopefully the content is helpful. So I think it's either way, just knowing that people will always, as you say, have an opinion, and that shouldn't put you off doing what you need to do to promote your business and get you out there.
Yeah, I think if you see it as a tool for promoting your business and not a personal thing against how you look and how you are, but actually, right, I need to do this because I need to get in front of so many new eyes, which are then going to make leads that are then going to, it's that, that system. I think if you see it more as a tool and set realistic goals, rather than oh my God, I'm sitting without makeup, or, I don't know what to say, or I'm going to stutter, or I'm going to stumble, see it actually as what it is. This is the old putting flies through the door, this kind of is the new marketing. So you've got to realistically get yourself out there, however it is, whether we like, you know, it doesn't have to be your face. So it can be a blog post, can be an Instagram post, could be, you know, Facebook or chatting in communities in Facebook. Visibility, you know, is a massive umbrella of things. And finding out what you're comfortable with, trialing something new. Because this year, I'm all about playing. So I'm going to trial loads of different ways and see what sticks, see what I like doing. And what resonates with my audience. So how are you guys finding kind of content to be visible with? What tips are you doing for that? How do you do? Do you look past blogs or past posts that have done well, you know, and update them? Or do you like follow the trends? Are you hunting out like the little niche markets? What are you doing to help your visibility?
So, I mean, for me, it's one of the things I do with clients and content is sort of research into the questions that people are asking, what people are looking for. You know, we all, especially now, tend to type long form questions like, how do I do this? Or why do I need to do that? Or whatever the question may be. And I, you know, use certain tools, just, you know, like Google Keyword Planner is a good one, stuff like that, to find out what people are actually searching for and what they're looking for. And I try and base my content around that. And, you know, things I see, like things you see yourself when you're looking online and on things like LinkedIn, the questions that are coming out there. And I think that's really important. It's just to look at what people are asking, what are the questions going around. And if you base your content around that, then you're going to be the person that they come to find those answers out. And that's going to, you know, the more they see you as sort of an expert in your field as well, they're going to hopefully then respect what you do, and that can lead them to wanting to work with you. So for me, it's very much about what's out there, what people are looking for. And it's, again, like we said earlier, try not to lead by what you think. I mean, you know, I work with sort of helping and supporting other freelancers. So as a freelancer myself, I can obviously know there's a certain amount of questions that I have. So I'm like, well, what do I want to know the answer to? But from a content and copywriting point of view, if I'm targeting, you know, agencies or a specific client, I need to know what sort of things that they're looking for and asking for. And that's not just my personal opinion. What about you?
For me, yeah, similar. I use keywords as well, but I think a lot of my content ideas come from kind of conversations. So with existing clients, and also just, you know, with other business owners, entrepreneurs, family, friends, even, you know, things that come up in conversation around mindset blocks. And then I use keywords to kind of go, well, hang on, is this relevant to kind of my target audience? Is this something that more people are actually looking for? Yeah, I think for me, it is thinking about trying to put out stuff that's useful is the primary kind of aim of most of my content. And then some of it is like more helping people to get to know me. So some of it will just be, you know, more so on Facebook and things will be about my life and just sharing a little bit, like I'm a big foodie. So I'll put up things about restaurants I've been to or dishes that I've made, because, you know, it is social and people want to get to know you. They don't just buy what you do, they buy the person behind it. So I think that's a really important thing to be aware of as well. It's something I've worked on, because initially I wasn't that comfortable with that. And it was like, well, actually, I can share about me. I don't have to give people every information, you know, about my personal life, but actually enough, like you would if you're having a conversation with someone in a bar, you know, you get to know the person. And I think it's easy on social media to forget that sometimes and just be putting out stuff about kind of your services without allowing people to get to know your personality as well.
Yeah, I think that's really important.
Yeah, making sure you've got a good consistency of both, because people do vibe from people. People like to have you know, a bit of personality. They don't, it's nervous approaching another entrepreneur. It's scary, isn't it? So, and finding out what they, you know, how they can help you and what they can do. So yeah, I think that's a really good tip of mixing up a personality and your business together. So I use social listener trend tools, which are quite new, come out. So they kind of look at kind of what's trending and what conversations are happening. So there's quite a few like cool new AI tools that help you find niches in the market. But the good old conversation and chatting to clients is, you know, the best way to come up with some visibility and to talk about some issues that you're finding keep cropping up.
Yeah, and that's a good one, is it? What questions do you get asked the most? What, when your clients come to you and you know, before they've even become clients, what questions are they asking to, you know, begin that relationship with you, and using those in your content? Because if they're thinking it and asking it, then other people will be thinking and asking it. And I often, it's one of my questions with my copywriting clients, is what would put someone off working with you? What, you know, what would they sit on your website and say, I've got this question, I can't find the answer, I don't know, I'm going to move on. So I quite often say, let's base the content around almost the negative, the reasons that people wouldn't choose to work with you, and flip them and use content to basically eliminate those negative thoughts or concerns before they've even had time to get in the person's head. So then they know straight away, oh, actually, yeah, you are the right person for me. You're the person I want to work with.
Yeah, that's a really good tip, actually. That's a really good idea to kind of go for the negative instead of just keep going for the positives. That's a really great tip, that is. So basically, being visual and digital visibility is not going anywhere, is it, ladies?
No, and it's getting louder, isn't it? Because there's a lot more noise out there. And I think that's where it comes, like we've just said, and Danny made the good point of putting a bit of personality out there, because although you don't have to give away every minor detail of your life, you don't have it, you know, don't have to be really personal, but just a bit of yourself, because it's so noisy out there. And there are a lot of people that perhaps aren't doing things honestly, and people get burnt and then they're cautious. So you want to make sure that they can trust you, and that digital visibility will help build that trust.
Yeah, and we like to work with people like us, don't we? Just generally. So if you share more of your personality, that helps the people that are more like you to find you, and the people that aren't to figure out that actually you're not for them. And that's better for you as well, because you're not going to want to work with those people. So it helps you to actually kind of narrow down the leads that you're going to end up getting in your business to the people that you're really going to want to work with. And for people that like you know, that go, oh, I really like Laura because she's interested in these things and she's passionate about these things, I can connect with that. So I think it's those little things that exactly the same as you would create a relationship in real life, you want to kind of try and build that online as well.
Yeah.
Perfect, ladies. Thank you both so much. So really useful tips there. I feel like I've learned stuff today. That's really cool. That's really good. Thank you both. I really appreciate it.